What is up? Welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Xavier Turbos. I was just vibing out to that intro music. That was really nice to listen to. I'm joined by the Kiss My Behinds, the coach of Jake. Jake.
Well, you've said that weirdly in reverse. Hi, I'm Kiss My Behinds. Yes, coach of the Jake. Yes, apart from the intro, I'm doing quite well. Savs, a bounce back week, I think. A few things went well, a few things went not so well, and we'll go through that with the games. But I'm pretty happy with my week, definitely opposed to last week.
How'd you go? I ended up on 1296. Not happy. I'm
on 1332. I think kind of 1300 might be around the par mark, maybe a bit less than that. So I don't think you're too far off average, Sav. You might even be above it.
I don't think I'm far off, but I want it to be nice and above it this week. And you know, doing so well last year, I feel like being part of the pack now just feels so depressing, to be honest.
Well, welcome to the pack, Sav. It's good to have you, mate.
I guess we started off on Thursday night. What was the standouts and the like the disappointments of your weekend and early up? What are your trades looking like?
Well, we kind of got a bit of injury stuff out of this weekend. Turbo looks like he might not be as bad as was thought. He could be all right for this round, but we've got him. Burton, who I have, went down with an MCL injury, so he's going to be a trade out. And I guess it's the first week of price rises, so a lot of people are going to be using the boost. So I've got a few. Most likely we'll be using 3 trades. Burton's obviously going to have to go. We'll see on Turbo. All these the lowest break even is most likely going to be the players that we're bringing in. Just making money is key early on.
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm looking at early, probably Kobe Hetherington to Tamale via Dylan Lucas. Not sure if we're going to do something with Tom Duffy. Maybe Tom Duffy ends up being dropped. If he's not, he's probably not an urgent trade out. I do think potentially Tino seems like he's going to be a must-have. He absolutely worked his dick off today, and I don't have him. At 530K, I think you've got to have him. But yeah, I think there's plenty of options to go to. I did go early on Jesse Arthurs, which I'm pretty happy with. So yeah, it feels like there's a lot of things I can do. There's Dylan Brown as well, like signed the contract now. Didn't the Parramatta?
He's got his payday. He just Parramatta just ain't showing up.
I was very worried about this weekend moving forward after signing the deal. The reason I started with him is because I thought the first 10 weeks he'd have a bit of a lucrative motivator to go really well in the first 10 weeks, and now that's gone. Not good signs. He looked really good in the first 2-3 runs, but then didn't really run after that. But let's wrap up the week. We started with the Knights, played the Dolphins on Thursday night, and I think this initially was Kalen Ponga, 129 top scored. We thought we were going to be in for massive 100 scores with Turbo and Cleary coming up, but Kalen Ponga was the captain choice of the weekend.
He definitely was, and I guess a lot of people had him as VC. I would have looped him if I could, but I didn't have a non-playing player. And it would have cost me Metcalf. I would have traded him Munster over Metcalf, and that would have been filthy. So I'm glad I didn't do that. I didn't have an option to loop. But I think with the flex position, and you're kind of getting an AE that's probably going to fall out regardless, VC, like the VC loop's probably a lot easier and less punishing as it was before. So if I did have Ponga and there was a bench front row or had a Melbourne player or enough or whatever, I probably would have looped. And I think bank the score while you can, because we saw, we expected Cleary to go massive, Turbo to go massive against teams that, weren't playing so well, and they get 60 and 80. So I mean, it doesn't 100%. Always work, but you almost take the points when they're there, especially 130 that he ended up with, 129.
100%. I would have dropped Tom Duffy as my if I did loop. If I had the vice captaincy on Ponga, and then Tom Duffy would have come into my side anyway, and then he would have Walsh would have dropped out still. So I would be on exactly the same score with a different captain option. So
an extra 50 or so points.
Yeah, especially early in the year, I think it's pretty doable. So yeah, I think Kalen Ponga banking the 129. It was an awkward. Do I loop? Do I not loop? Kind of score, but I think a lot of people did lock it in. So it was very good. Bradman Best 99 points. Dylan Lucas went over for a try, 97 points. If you don't own Dylan Lucas, do you find him being someone who's a must-have in the position at 615K? Center wing, second row, does have a buy in round 4, though.
Yeah, I was going to say that at center wing. I guess they're humming Newcastle, the left edge, and it kind of is coming with the oppositions that they verse. But still, I think Luke's at center wing for 600K. He's going to be, almost near must-have. But with that buy in round 4, will you trade him in this week for a little price rise to then not have him the week after? I think it's a bit silly, but I mean, yeah, he's absolutely killing it. And he's going to have a safe floor of, say, like 60 points every week. And then we saw what he can do, pretty much back-to-back 90s. So, yeah, at center wing, I mean, you could say the same case for that whole left side for Newcastle.
Yeah, for sure. He looks like a weapon. He's got that 50 to 60 base, and then the attacking upside he has is ridiculous. I think I'd cop one little price rise and then just get him in after round 4. But yeah, I think that's where I'm at with that. Greg Marju, 84 points with no tries, no try assists. He looked beast mode. He looks back. I don't have him on my side at the moment. And out of those 515K guys, he looks like one of the better ones, to be honest.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's got an offload. I don't think he's really ever been a player to offload the ball. I can't remember him in the last couple of years offloading, but he's having 4 or 5 offloads a game, and that's an extra, 16 to 20 points that he's getting. So, yeah, he's what was it, 84 with no attacking stats. That's crazy for a winger.
Yeah, 100%. We got Fletcher Sharp, 82 points, very similar to Greg Marju, but he's scored 83 and 82 in consecutive weeks. He looks like a really good option at center wing.
He does. I mean, before the season started, I was like, Fletcher Sharp in the halves. I'm like, nah, it won't work. But he surprised me. And I think if anyone started with, 3 center wings for Newcastle, they'd probably be, right up the top in the rankings, because so far, Lucas Marzu, Best was good in this game as well. And Fletcher Sharp, they've all absolutely killed it the first 2 games.
They look really good, like as a side, considering I mean, I tipped them not to be in my top 8, but I'm looking at them now with Ponga in their side. And if they keep, this team kind of morale going, I think they can definitely get up there for sure.
Agreed.
Kai Pearce-Paul, 46 with a Simbin. Probably, I think he's going to miss like 2 or 3 weeks or something. So that opens up a spot for potentially Frizzell to go back there. But that doesn't really change too much. Crossland was another one who we eyed off last week for 39 points, but not much interest there. I think a lot of other hookers put their name up this weekend, which we will get to for the Dolphins. Isaiah Katoa, top scored, 86 points. Jake, your boy, Herbie Farnworth, 58 points. I look at that and still very happy. Didn't look like he did much, but 58 points. I think he's an elite center wing.
Yeah, and he's going to drop cash. I think his break-even is going to be about the 100 mark. So the Dolphins aren't playing too well, so he's not really getting the attacking stats that he did last year. So his price will come down. Hopefully we get him at a nice discounted price one time, and then pick him up. And I think that's the case for a lot of fallen guns. You wait for their price to bottom out, pick them up, and then ride them home.
You can definitely wait a couple of weeks. He does have the Tigers and Broncos in the next 2 weeks. The Tigers, what are your thoughts on them as a matchup for him?
Well, I mean, the Tigers have the best defense in the comp. Work that one out. So
yeah, right.
They've only let him 2 tries in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
they're not being rolled over as we thought. There's definitely other teams that I'd be targeting who teams verse, and I don't think Tigers is going to be one of them.
Yeah, for sure. They've actually got a pretty rough draw. They've got the Tigers, the Broncos, then they got Gold Coast, but then they had Penrith and Melbourne, which is pretty tricky. We're on the TikTok live here. We've got a couple of questions. I'm so upset with the Burden injury. Had him in my lineup. I got 1271 this week. Hey, mate, how you going? I'm going well. And we do have some questions in the YouTube live stream. We've got people putting up their scores. 1351, 1313 is Brown Cell. We'll get to that. 1325.
Savs, I wonder if we're getting the ones who posted their score, the big scores last week, are posting their scores this week.
No, I've noticed.
I don't know because I don't remember the names, but it'd be interesting to see.
No, I think I would have remembered the names, and they're not the same names as last week. Ange, I'm pretty sure Ange is part of the Patreon WhatsApp. So 1470. Remo ruined me. What a weapon, Ange. Shout out. Lyle listens all the time on YouTube. 1341 should update okay from today's games. Still no trades used. That's massive. That's massive that you can still punch that out. That's good. We got how good is Tino as well. And I agree. He is a weapon, and I'm very scared not to have him. Anything else from the Dolphins? Tom Gilbert, 47 points, 460K. He was very highly traded in this week. Still got the minutes, but maybe the game just didn't pan out for him. I think
the minutes were a little bit down. It took him to like 18 minutes to go until he got thrown back on the second half. Might have been just how the game was playing out that didn't come to him, but the base was there. It kind of just the scoreline didn't kind of suit him. Same with kind of Max Plath. You can put him in the same bucket, I guess. There's a bit of a price difference and position difference. But if you're Aaron Gilbert, I don't see a problem with it. He's going to be getting 50 in base every week. So once he kind of tops out, you can upgrade him. But I'll be happy with him for now. Yeah,
so Gilbert, 50 points. And that's 6 minutes down from last week. So that 6 minutes actually helps because he probably has another run later in the game where there's a few more tackle busts in that run. So probably is something for him. Oren Keeley got 66 minutes on the edge, 33 points. Probably not an option at the second row.
Because Kuli Kefufine Fuyaki should be back next week.
Yeah, for sure.
Anytime I can get to say his name, I will say it.
That was a good effort. I liked that.
I love saying his name.
All right, let's move on to the Warriors versus the Seagulls, and this was a massive upset.
How you feeling, Savs?
I still feel like we win the comp, but it was...
You don't verse the Cowboys every week.
Sorry?
You don't get to verse the Cowboys every week, saying this as a Sharks fan who only wins against the Cowboys as well.
You know what? I actually spoke to Timmy today. He called me on the phone and he said... he was like, I heard an interview with Daly Cherry Evans before the game saying we can't be complacent. We got to not take them so lightly. And I think what I read into that here, Timmy was thinking something completely different, thinking, they took them too lightly, which I agree with. But I think they just tried to play too conservatively and not play to their strengths like they did last week. And when they did, they kind of dropped the ball. They were a bit hesitant to do things. So, it looked like it was going to be a smash up in the first, 3 minutes. But it didn't turn out that way. Luke Metcalf bounces back. It was the week of the bounce backs for sure. Luke Metcalf, 117 points. I didn't know he had this ceiling, but obviously with the goal kicking, he does. Thoughts on Metcalf? Did you play him? Do you have him?
I definitely played him, and he hurt a lot of sellers. I think his ownership went from like 46% to like 20-something%. So a lot of hurting ex-owners of Metcalf. And I guess with 1 week, we kind of say it, he showed enough in trials, don't get rid of him. But I guess people had seen enough of that trial to get rid of him. I mean, hindsight's a crazy thing. Everyone's going to say, you shouldn't have sold him. But 1 week's kind of a bit hard to determine that. And we kind of saw this. I mean, I didn't expect the Warriors to bounce back, especially against Manly, what they dished up. But we kind of saw that Metcalf, if he's getting involved, I don't think he had that potential either, but 117, that's a big score.
Let's be honest, if they didn't bounce back, it's round 2. That's very concerning for any side that didn't. So all the sides that did come back and bounce back this week, I think it was definitely...
there was 3 that didn't. But.
Yeah, should have been expected though, for sure, because... I'm just checking some minutes on someone before I bring them up. Nice. Wade Egan, 110 points. I was very keen on him in the preseason. Didn't go him because obviously AFB was leaving the club. So I went very cold on him very quickly. But he delivered and he kept up and he played a good amount of minutes. 80.
Yeah, I mean, Egan, every year he's kind of always been that hooker that we can jump on at a low price and he can potentially do gun numbers. It's just that the poor guy just has bad luck with injuries, head knocks, and everyone's kind of hesitant to, use that risk. So, but I mean, yeah, Wade Egan, if he's playing 80, got his noggin right, it's a potential option because I'm not sure what his price is. So if you could just click on him.
491.
500.
It's pretty
I thought he
good.
might have been low 400s, but I mean, in a hooker position that's not too great, we're looking for someone great.
Yeah, well, a couple of them stood up this weekend. Tuapiki, 89 points. James Fisher-Harris, 75 points. Played 58 minutes this week. Scored 60 the week before in 61 in 45 minutes. It looks like he's going to be a bigger minute forward. 549K. I like Tino a lot better, but James Fisher-Harris, there's a lot of options in the front row this year.
Yeah, who would have thought? I mean, usually at front row, we all just hate the position, but there's a couple of guys at like that 500 to 550 mark that are, putting up quite good numbers. But then there's guys at the top end who are putting up even ridiculous numbers again.
Yeah.
So it's weird having options at front row.
I know, it's weird. Ali Leotawa, 75 points, went over for his try. I actually sold him this week.
Oh.
And
who to, though?
Jesse Arthurs.
Okay, there you're fine then.
Yeah. To get Ola Kawatu in for Seafarth. So I've done the maths already. It was worth the trade. I think long term it'll definitely be better. But the Warriors have the Roosters at home next week, which I'm shitting bricks for.
But who knows what shows up for that game?
Yeah, for sure. And I think Jesse Arthurs is going to be one of the more traded in players next week. So I'm glad I got the jump there. So very happy on that. But Leotawa looked good. I think he will be an option in the center wing in the future. But I just think with the Warriors, with their unpredictability, it's going to be hard to be confident in having these guys. I think with your center wings, you want to lock in guys from the top tier side. So Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, 64 points with another line break try. He's gone 71 and 64 in consecutive weeks with line break tries. Let me just make sure it was 71. It was 73, sorry. Is it concerning? Because I think a lot of people would have expected a bit more base from him in the wing spot.
I don't think he's not quite getting the tackle bus. He's still having 20 or so runs. I think they're attacking on like his wing, so I think it should be fine. I mean, I own him. I'm obviously been saved by 2 tries, but a lot of center wings, especially wingers, if you're getting 35, 40 base, you're kind of happy with it. And then you're expecting them to get a try, 2 out of 3 weeks. So I wouldn't be too concerned with it at 550K because I think he's getting tries, which is what you want from wingers.
Yeah, and I guess that's what you bought him for the upside of the tries, and he has been getting that. So hopefully the games walk more towards in his favor in the coming weeks. I just got to bring this comment up because I think it's a good comment to read live. Hey, dickheads or dickwads. Can't believe I caught you live. Absolutely. Thank you for everything. I loved it from the beginning. Cheers, Bazza.
Thanks, Bazza.
That's a good comment from Bazza. Shout out, Bazza.
I think I've ever been called a dickwad before, but
yeah. I looked at the comment and I'm like, here we go. They're about to rip into us for giving him bad advice, but no, not for sure.
We get called far worse when we give bad advice, Savs.
Yeah. Chanel Harris-Tavita, 74 points, 330K. Thoughts on him? Cheapy price at 5'8". Could be an option for people who own Matt Burden or if everyone's completely off Dylan Brown.
Yes, but I don't think I would want both Warriors halves. So if you say you don't have Metcalf and you've got a Burton or you're off Dylan Brown, sure, go to Harris-Tavita. I think he's going to have a negative break even. I don't know what that's going to be, but it's going to be pretty low. So he's going to make cash at 330 because he's got 2 pretty good scores. I think 50 something last week and then 70 this week. So surprising one. I mean, in the past, he's kind of plodded along and he's been good in spurts, but again, the unpredictability of the Warriors. I mean, if they're playing at home every week, bring in as much Warriors as you want, but unfortunately, they do not do that.
Yeah, they don't. They do have the Roosters at home next week. Then they have the Tigers at Campbelltown Stadium, and then they have a bye in round 5. So for me, the plan has to be to get rid of him before round 5. And
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to make enough. I mean, he could make the amount of cash you're asking for in them 2 weeks, but are there going to be other issues? People who have peaked quite early, like especially if an Arthurs or a Tamale really start hitting a lull at that point, like we're going to have to start selling people at that point. So if you plan to sell someone in round 5 by now, other things could come up for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Not much else. Nickel Clock's had 38, Walker 20, Aaron Clark 52. Had a much better game than a 52, but on the other side of the park, Jason Saab 114 points. He has now turned up twice in a row and looks like a juicy pod option. Plays the Raiders and then Parramatta in following weeks at Four Pines Park. Both games at Four Pines Park.
Ooh. It's a stressful pick because we know Saab can dish up a 4 and then a 114 like he's just done. But against those teams, you'd assume attacking stats. I mean, it all depends on if Cherry Evans and Tom Trbojevic are fit to play. If those guys aren't fit, I would not be touching Jason Saab. But I mean, yeah, a streaky pot option for sure. And I mean, he's going to make cash, but again, by the time you're probably going to get rid of him, he's probably going to go back to his price, what he's at now.
For sure. I think he could be that one of them cash grabs that is like very quick. Like you can sell him in round 5 or 6 when their draw does get a bit harder. I think that could it could be a play if you started slow, potentially.
Yeah, and it is good having the best 17 over an 18. Say he does have a stinker. It's not going to hurt as much because it's going to fall out. It's going to be him or say another 9 from Reece Walsh, but you can have one bad score and it'll be all right. Where last year you were locked into placing Jason Saab every week, where you're a bit concerned.
Let's just talk about that quickly. Going the 3 gun fullbacks and one of your gun fullbacks drops out because he's the lowest score in your 18. Going the 3 gun fullbacks over the cheapy fullbacks, sacrificing squad depth everywhere else so you can have the 3 gun fullbacks, and he drops out anyway. What the hell, Reece Walsh?
Yeah, I was watching that game and I was like, this bloke is having an all-time stinker. And then how bad? I don't have him, but as someone who does have Reece Walsh, and you see your 730K player, the one that's dropped out of your score, like and not injury or sent off.
80 minutes.
Effective. He played 80 minutes on the field, and he drops out in this. It's crazy. I mean, this week he versus the Cowboys, so he's probably scores 200 against them. So I wouldn't be rushing to sell him. I think he's got the thing of a goldfish. He'll forget that performance.
Yeah, that's true. I am actually. I will get to it at the Broncos' performance, but I actually am pretty concerned about how he's being used. So, I think he's definitely someone you got to watch. So, where are we? So, Jason Saab top scored. Lee Hire 66 looked really good. 589K, probably a bit expensive for me, but looks pretty good. Tom Trbojevic went off the field with, I think, like 18 minutes to go or something like that. 59 points. Looked like he was on for a blinder. I honestly didn't see him get injured. The reports are pretty positive. Looks like he will play next week. But now there's an injury cloud under him. Can you put the armband on him? Can you, like, what are your thoughts on next week?
I mean, it's the dreaded hamstring of Tom Trbojevic that's got the tightness. So I'd be hesitant. I mean, he's not going to be playing, I guess, at 100%. They'll say he is, but we've seen him, go into a game with, a bit of injury down, and then he does his hamstring kind of in the first 20 minutes. So I'd be hesitant to slap the C on. I mean, they do play the Raiders next week, who on top of the comp, or they've somehow knocked over the Broncos and are flying. But yeah, I think there'll be other options to go see.
He's got a really good record against Raiders. He averages 94 against Raiders.
Does play at home as well, 4 points.
And does play at home. He loves
Yeah.
playing at home. 121, 92, and 165 are his last 3 performances versus the Raiders. I think
Will you be doing it, Savs? Will you be slapping the armband on him?
When does he play? I'm not sure what
Well,
day.
will he have an armband, either blue or orange?
Oh, he'll have to for sure. They play they play Sunday at 6:15.
That's the last game.
Yuck. Hopefully, I've got a VC score locked in by then. But to be fair, I probably would have liked him to be a day game, so maybe I will pivot away from him. But it is kind of that option that can really elevate you quite highly because everybody's going to be scared off because of the hamstring, because Canberra have been playing well. But we've seen from the opening rounds, you can play amazingly one week and then complacency could come into play. I don't think Canberra have that as much as other clubs because Ricky really sticks it up them. But it definitely could be a play. Ruben Garrick, 54, very highly owned. Trey Evans went off with an injury. Back spasms looked a lot worse than back spasms, but you'll take it. Olaquatu, 44. Anything else that interests here?
Not really. It's the same big guys for Manly that they pick every year. The rest of them kind of just plot along and make up scores for the rest of the big guys. Olaquatu was a down game for him. But coming off 100, averages out to 70, which you take.
I'll take a 44 considering how quiet he was as well, to be honest. We've got a couple of other questions. Luke Easton, 1250, ain't bad, solid. Yeah, that's probably about right.
It's probably about average, I reckon, 1250.
And Starling is the great. I'm very excited to talk about Starling. And Chris Gray, who would you look at trading out this week, Duffy or Valmega?
Well, if you had Vermega and you didn't have Hubner, you can wait on that because Hubner's getting, I think, 2 to 3 weeks suspension.
Yep.
Duffy, how bad he was, there's a very good chance he gets dropped and Clifford comes in. So it's kind of be a perfect time to go Duffy to Humphreys, who's absolutely killing it for South when we go to him. But probably Duffy, just because it's a halfback where you've only got 2 positions. Second row, there's 3 bench players, so you can have one doing absolutely sweet FA. Plugging up there, but halfback a bit trickier because if one goes down, then you're stuck with one.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I want to wait till Tuesday to make a decision on Duffy because I think our hands are going to be forced with. I reckon he gets dropped for Clifford for sure. Depends how Clifford's going though. Penrith versus Roosters, another upset.
Upset of the century.
Yeah, upset of the century. I did not see.
Are you gutted? Are you gutted? Mikey's not on tonight because this would have been great to talk about here.
I would have talked his way out of it, to be honest. It is round 2. If it made more, if it was like at a crucial point in the season and they lost this, you'd be a lot more concerned. But round 2, I honestly see why the Roosters stood up for this. I did think the rosters were completely different in terms of level of.
Yeah, the rosters were they were not matched at all, but somehow effort makes up for everything.
For sure. I definitely see the Roosters regressing after this. I think this was their 1 week where they're like the backs against the wall, that they had to show a performance like this. And I don't know what was in Penrith. It was just a lot of errors, a lot of drop balls, a lot of
tackles.
They were very out of sync as well. Timmy did point out to me today, he thinks Isaiah Yeo was sick. He was trying to avoid tackling, he was hiding behind the ruck a lot of the time. He wasn't putting his hand up to do a run every 2 runs every set like he usually does. So that could be what Penrith look like if Yo's not 100%.
And he might have been sick as well, but the Roosters were targeting him as well. In defense, they were getting right up on him. They were running at him, having to make him move. Any team versus the Panthers, take out Yo and you're in with a shot. They lost Edwards as well. He looks like he's done for a couple of weeks. So, Penrith, the next couple of weeks, target them if you're an opposing team.
Well, I was looking at Penrith players to get in for versing the Roosters this week, but
back. Yeah.
we got Ange. There was more Wong than White this week.
Hey.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right,
Love it.
Paul Alamotti top scored 84 points. Nathan Cleary 80 points, pretty much exactly what he got targeted. I expect a lot more. Very highly captained. Pretty happy with the 80 points, to be honest. Like, it's probably the lowest I would have taken.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was expecting, 200 going off the results of the previous week, but yeah, I mean, 80. I mean, you still think 32 points scored by a team. You think Nathan Cleary's probably going to turn up. I think the big score for him's coming soon. Whether it's against Melbourne or whoever they play in round 4.
Yeah.
But I think, 2 tries, couple try assists, 150s, not too far away for him.
Yeah, 100%. Casey McLean, 72 points, bouncing back from his single-digit score in Vegas. I think he'll be a nice person to have if you have him. Lindsay Smith, 48 points. Went off with a HIA?
Yeah, HIA, and he passed. He still kind of maybe he lost a bit of minutes, but I think kind of, yeah. I mean, he's again at that 500K mark. I'd still rather be Tino over him. So,
yeah,
Tino's still the lock at that 500K to 550 mark.
Yeah, for sure. Brian To'o, 34 points with a try.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of errors. His hands were painted on.
Isaiah Yeo, 41 points. Just not the night for the Penrith Panthers. Hopefully they bounce back, but it is concerning considering CommBank is going to be their home ground this year. So, concerns for the Penrith Panthers there.
I don't think they have a very good record at CommBank. I mean, they always seem to struggle against Parramatta playing there. Even when Parramatta's going terrible, they always struggle. The grass is terrible there. It gets chopped up like crazy. So, I don't know. Maybe Penrith don't like that sort of ground.
I was actually thinking it'd be in favour of them because Tom Trbojevic actually averages quite a bit there. So I was like, Tommy Turbo averages a lot there. Surely Cleary does. I looked into it. Cleary averages 55 at CommBank. So this year it could be very concerning for Penrith in terms of Supercoach. And I'm not sure, like, you don't think grounds actually would take into account players and play styles and stuff, but it is a big difference.
Who would have thought like grass would even make that much of a difference? And I mean, they're still playing at home, so they've still got the Panthers home fans. But you could tell. I was at this game. You could tell that because it wasn't full. The atmosphere wasn't like at Penrith Stadium, so it's not. It's still not the same as if they're at their proper home.
Penrith Stadium is just you cannot hear a thing when you're in there, and it just feels like you're crowded by Penrith fans.
Yeah, and you hate being an opposition fan. It's the worst experience ever.
For the Roosters, Daniel Tupou top scored 119 points. Obviously, has one of these games every year. Tedesco, his first ton against the Penrith Panthers, 119 points. It looks like that if you started with Teddy, you'd be pretty happy, to be honest.
But at the price, you're only going to be happy in this game, and after round 1, you'll probably trade him out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was. I mean, Tedesco kind of led this team, and like you said earlier, I think we expect them to kind of regress after this. I think they've had their big game now. They'll kind of, won't be so much up for it going forward. So, still think there's better fullbacks than Teddy in Supercoach.
Connor Watson, 103 points, 2 tries. Looks like a pretty solid hooker option. Will be at a low break even next week. Do you own him, Jake?
I don't, but I guess at hookers, if you do want to kind of lock in, a more premium option at hooker, he seems kind of be the guy. Played 80. He plays, 40 or so minutes at hooker and then plays lock forward, which he averages, 70 playing 80 minutes at lock forward. So I think the role is definitely there. Job security is there. I think, Watson probably pretty good pick at hooker if you kind of just want to lock in hooker and be done with it.
Yeah. 100%.
Or stash him at second row and then move him later when your hookers max out in price.
For sure. Mark Nwangawitawase, 86 points. Looked like a
well said.
beast. Yeah, looked like a beast. I actually really like him at the price, 420K.
Yeah, and he did very good. I mean, everyone kind of gives Tungo a bath every week. He's not the greatest defender, so target anyone versing him. But yeah, I mean, 2 good scores from him. Like last week, look at that. Not even he had a 50 in base. So he's got the base there as well.
One
Tackle
line,
buster, offloads. Yeah,
one
line
line
break
breaks last week.
10. But yeah, he looked great. I think at that price, and it's an awkward price, especially when you've got, say, Arthur's, Tamale for cheaper, who will have a lower break even. Probably going to be ahead of Mark Nwangawitawase.
Yeah, 100%. I actually, what was I saying? I'm looking at my center wings, and I want to get Tamale in next week if he is named, and it looks very grim. Because I'll have to move Lucas up to the second row forwards, and then I'll have to play an Arthur's and like a Tamale. So I think it's pretty concerning that. I don't know if you can fit them all in or like what the way to go about it is, but depending on team structure, yeah, maybe you just got to cop it for a couple of weeks just to get a bit of a cash rise. And I don't think they're massive guns putting their hand up straight away, nice and early. So,
no. I mean, Jesse Arthurs seems to be the gun at the moment. Work that out.
Yeah, for sure. Sandon Smith, 76 points. If you asked me at the start of the season who's going to be, if you're going to fade a cheapie, is it going to be Tom Duffy or Sandon Smith at halfback? And I would have said Sandon Smith probably doesn't do as well as Tom Duffy, and how wrong I was. 76 points against the Panthers. Looked pretty good. Scored a try in the first week, so he's going to make a bit of cash early on, so it's going to be good for us owners. Everyone owns him though, right?
Yeah, everyone's owned him. They've either got him. Most will have him stashed at hooker. A few that lucky ones that didn't go Duffy would have him at halfback. But yeah, like round 1, he looked terrible in defense, but he was good in on Friday night. I'll be happy to play him in like decent matchups. I mean, they did that against Penrith. If they're versing a not so good defensive team, I'll be happy to play Santa Smith as my starting hooker.
Plays Warriors next week, so it's definitely going to
be happy to play him. Yes,
consideration. Sil Wong, 318K, 38 points in tackles, 12 points tackle bus, 8 points in offloads, 22 points in hit ups, with a total of 70 points, 0 attacking stats.
It's going to be Radley. I mean, he was playing in Radley's position. If Radley comes back into the middle and Wong keeps that spot, it's going to be golden because he's, quite cheap. But it's a wait and see to kind of see what his role is.
Angus Crichton comes back, 68 points. Nafahu White, 56 points. There's not much else here. Anything you want to touch on, Jake?
No. I mean, a pretty decent showing from Rabbitohs. He was involved in pretty much nothing and got 43. Yep. So he looks like an okay play if you have to.
Yep. He actually seems like he could be nearly a gun center wing option if the Roosters were good.
Yes. We're acting like they're bad and they just beat Penrith.
Yeah, I know. I still don't believe in them, though, to be honest.
Everyone has their bad day.
Dragons versus Rabbitohs. The Dragons won here. Oh, sorry. The Dragons lost. The Rabbitohs won.
They had it won, though.
Yeah, I know. They're up by like 10 points at one point. Clint Gutherson top scored with 146 points. And, oh, my God, top score for the weekend. If you started with Gutho, he scored 100 in the first week. It does have a bye in round 3, though, which is a bit annoying. But he's gone 113, then 146. Who would have known that he would have been the fullback to start with?
Nobody. Well, actually, how many people? He's owned by not many people, so there were a few that believed it.
505 people traded him in this week.
Well,
he's owned by 5,000 people.
Oh, that's more than I thought. Good work.
He averages 146 plus 113, so whatever it is between that.
Yeah, so he's looking at like 130-ish, 125. Crazy.
29 and a half. Wow.
Correct,
Yeah, so he looks like a good option on the left. I don't think I'd do it. I think that's the run that you needed him for. I tend to find these guys who score 100 twice in a row don't do it for the rest of the season. But we did say in the preseason when Moses was out for Parramatta, he'd always step up, and they've pretty much got that all season that they're going to rely on him. So he could genuinely be a gun option for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I agree. Like their halves are not very good. Coach Flano gave Ilias an absolute bath in the media. So Gutho's like steering the ship. So he's going to be involved in pretty much all their tries. It's just whether you think the Dragons are going to, keep up in attack and be that. Kind of runs into a bad point when, they got the bye this week. So, and then into Melbourne, I think. And then they play Parramatta. So maybe if he gets through Melbourne okay, you can maybe look at him then if they're on a decent run.
I heard about that. I heard that Flanagan gave Ilias a bath. What did he actually say?
I mean, he didn't really. It was kind of what he didn't say. I think the journo asked him, "Oh, what do you make of the performance?" And he kind of said, "Well, you saw the game, didn't you? What do you think?" Kind of like he was shit tone.
Yeah.
So there's a good chance he may not be there next week.
They got
the week after.
They got no one to come in, so I don't know who they're going to put there. But I remember 6 minutes to go, they didn't go for the field goal, which I thought was crazy. He had an awful game, Ilias. They're lucky Atkinson is coming next year, to be honest. But Tuipulotu, 99 points, turned up last week, 550K. So we can wait a week on him, but he does play Melbourne in round 4, but then Parramatta in round 5. That left edge, Sione Finau in the trials, 4 tries. I'm pretty sure Finau scored the week before as well. I think that left edge is probably one of the more dominant edges in the competition. I think you got to look at it like Broncos with Ben Hunt. Jesse Arthurs is the recipient of that. I think Tuipulotu is going to be very similar.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, there's been 2 premiership games and then a couple of trials, all showing that whoever's on that left wing for the Dragons is carving up. So, yeah, I think Tuipulotu, 2 weeks' time might be a pickup. He's going to have a very low break even, and he's kind of on the end of Gutho, so it's good. I mean, Val Holmes didn't really have a very good game, offensively and defensively, but yeah, that the winger, Tuipulotu, killed it.
Sloan, 99 points with a double, 540K, probably a bit expensive. You'd prefer Tuipulotu at the price. Sewer, 79, Flanagan, 72, Couchman, 61 at 480K. Second row and front row does have the buy. I am interested, but I think there's just a couple too many options going around to consider it now. I think he was more round 1, take a risk, and if it works out, then good. I wouldn't be getting him in because there's a lot of options at the price.
If he was a bit cheaper, say it was low 400s, definitely, but kind of at that just under 500, I'd pass on him.
I also think with Clemmer signed with the club, could see a couple of less minutes as well. Emre Gula, 50 points. My nice little cheapie in the front row, 330K. Hamish Stewart, 46 points, backs up his 42-point performance in round 1. Bottom dollar price. So if you do have a Royce Hunt or someone in your front row, he might be an option to go to if Clemmer doesn't take his spot, that is.
And I mean, it's going to be good because we get to get him, in round 4. So he's not like a trade this week.
Yep.
Hamish Stewart. So he's a one we can wait on and pick up if we need to downgrade or we want him just to make a bit of money.
100%. Blake Laurie played this week, so I assume Clemmer takes his spot.
Yeah.
Anything else? Damien Cook, 41 points. It's weird the minute rotation that's happening there. I thought it'd be more leaned in towards Cook going into 13 and
end up playing center.
Yeah, Little playing more minutes, but not to be. But for the Rabbitohs, Mamazelos, 94 points. He looked really good at 300K. Do you have him in your side, Jake?
I do. And I mean, last week he didn't even have a run. I was like, oh, God, I'm going to be stuck with his bum for ages. And then he comes out and scores a try and sets one up. So it's been the theme for all these cheap hookers. They've apart from maybe Starling, they've had one good game and one kind of a stinker. And I mean, we take Mamazoulis. This is the round that you kind of want him to go big in because he's got 2 rounds of price rises. So very happy that I went Pete instead of I don't know who are the other options, Pakes or I don't know who else. Crossland.
I think Starling would have been all right.
Starling's definitely the pick, but Mamazoulis is close second.
I was very happy with his game. Tackles a lot, played 80 minutes. There was a HIA to someone in their front row. I forget who it was. And something happened. I forget what happened, but he ended up playing 80 minutes. So when things don't go right, he's the one that plays 80 minutes and the bench hooker kind of fills in other places. Havili was obviously the one that usually comes on and spells him. But very happy with his game. He ran a lot. He also, that try assist was very nice. The try just strolled over. So it's good he's looking for it. It's good that he learned from his first week from just dishing the ball. So hopefully he builds on that. And I think at that price, having a big minute hooker is awesome. Sean Cappy, 89 points. Jai Gray, 79 points. Looked pretty good. Jamie Humphries is the big one here. 67 points, 300K. What do we do with Duffy? Obviously, we're going to talk about Duffy in the next game, 22 points. There's a bit of roulette going on here. So if you're selling Duffy, there's a couple of options you can do. You can go straight to Humphries. You can go to a Mamazelos or a Tom Starling via Sandon Smith. Who do you think the pick of the bunch is?
I think Humphries, if he's locked into that position. His goal kicking seems to be a teacher's pet of Wayne Bennett. And he's got that confidence about him. I think I'm hoping Duffy does get dropped, so I'm forced into making that move. Because if he's not, I prefer to do other things. But then again, if he is dropped, I want to bring in Humphrey sort of thing. Because he looks a gun. I mean, Lewis Dodd is obviously the creeping around in reserve grade, but Dodd was signed before Wayne got there, so I think Humphrey seems to be Wayne's favorite, and he's going to stay there until he does something wrong.
Dodd also did a calf injury on the weekend, so I think he's out for like 4 weeks or something at least. So he's locked into that spot now.
And I think in this game, I think Sullivan came on, and I think Humphreys went into like a roving lock sort of role. Or I don't know, they kind of were both playing halves. It was a bit weird.
Oh, really?
They all had 3 of them on at the same time. Sullivan, and Mamazoulis was also playing hooker, so it was like 3 halves playing. So I'm not too sure what they were doing, but it worked because he got the ball and kicked the field goal.
Yeah, okay. I think the goal kicking definitely elevates him a little bit. 16 points in goal kicks. He had 24 points in tackles, 6 points in runs. So, that's 36 points just in non-attacking stats, really. So I think for him, he looks really good. Their draw in the next couple of weeks is pretty tricky, though. They do have Penrith and the Sharks. Sharks in round 3 and then Penrith in round 4. So it could be quite tricky for me. I think Starling could be maybe a better option at this point in time. Yeah, I'm not
Sandon down.
I'm not quite sure because I do like the look of Humphries. I think he looks really good and can hold himself. And I guess as we've seen, Penrith are not what they were last year, at least in this season.
They've let him 60 points in 2 weeks. So
yeah,
not the defensive powerhouses they were.
Where else are we? Cody Walker, 48 with a try. Colin Matangi, 33. Really low. Campbell Graham, 32. I think a lot of people will be asking, do we sell? And what's your answer? I think yes. There's way too many options at the price.
It was weird. I mean, I saw enough in round 1 to go, yeah, fine. But the ball just kind of didn't get to him in this round. So I guess it's kind of a luxury save if he's one of your 500Ks that you want to get rid of and you're happy with, say, the rest of them, him down to Arthur's, him down to Tamale, frees up cash as well as them guys are probably potentially going to get the 500K in a couple of weeks, especially Arthur's.
I think
so. If he's the 4 guy, if you don't have any worse center wings, I I'd be inclined. Yeah, I'd be happy to move him for, especially with the draw coming up. I think I'd be happy to move him on to free up cash, and then an Arthur's that's going to make plenty of money.
That's the play for sure. I reckon going down to an Arthur's or a Tamale. I just think you can't be spending that much money on a guy who's going to lose money. I think you've got to really maximize the point generation, cash generation in your side, and he's just not cutting it. And with the draw of Sharks and Penrith in the next 2 weeks, he could even drop more than we're expecting. So maybe there is a point in time of the year where you can jump on him, but maybe this time of year is not right. But I agree. I think early in the year we did see a lot more from him, so I get why people were happy to hold after round one. But I think it's time to sell. We've got a lot of, if you don't have a Marju, a Skelton, there's also Tuipulotu. Like there's a lot of guys around this price where we can be looking in that direction. So the Sharkies, they got up.
They did. I mean, it wasn't as convincing as, say, Manly, but I think we're always in control in this one. Hines got the goal kicking back. Wasn't in complete control of the side. It's still kind of a split between him and Trindle. But, I mean, he's still had a try assist. He was still getting involved. So I am a Hines owner, and I'm fine with it. I mean, he only outscored Cleary by 6, but they're kind of both been kind of the same so far throughout the year. So, I mean, they play South, Dogs, Raiders. All those teams are kind of undefeated at the moment. So it's a pretty tough draw for the Sharks.
Well, they are, but I think the Souths have had a pretty easy draw early on. So I actually kind of like the Souths matchup at home, which is really nice. I'm actually very keen on potentially getting in Hines earlier than I anticipated, because I think with the goal kicking back, he's just a much better goal kicker than Trindle, isn't he? Like, how were we ever in doubt?
Not by much. He's not the greatest goal kicker, but I mean,
he just looks better.
Yeah. I'm more confident with Hines goal kicking than I am with Trindle.
Yep, for sure. Stone Street top scored with 112 points, and if Hines is doing well, Stone Street will do well. Kale Ero on the other side, 111 points. Both of these guys, Jesus Christ, 640K for Ero, 500K for Stone Street. Both really good options.
Yeah, I mean, the Sharks are likely to score a lot of points in each game, and Ero, he looked fantastic. Stone Street, 500K, you can throw him in the mix for the potential 500K players. He could have had a lot more points. He was a little bit faster. He made like 6 or so line breaks. He just kept getting run down. But yeah, I think if you kind of want to target a Shark center wing, Stone Street at 500K seems pretty good guy to go to. Or if you want to spend up, we saw Ero's just continuing on from what he did last year. So you're getting what you're paying for with him, but he's just a little bit more pricey than the rest of the options.
Ero, 15 points, tackles, 24 in tackle bust. That's crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, it was against the Cowboys. Anyone versus the Cowboys is going to have heaps of attacking stats, heaps of tackle busts, because they just fall off tackles for fun. So, I mean, them and, say, Parramatta target attacking players against them teams, because at the moment they're dishing up garbage.
Do you think it is a concern that, considering how many points they put on, like nearly 40 points, the Hines only got 86? Like, do you think this year they're sharing the attacking load a lot more evenly than they have in the past?
I think that's just how it's panned out. I think because it was working wide with the sweep play of Kennedy tipping onto the wingers or centers, it was just working that way against the Cowboys.
Yep.
Other teams, it's not going to work against. So just because the Cowboys are so terrible out wide, I think they were playing like Sam McIntyre at center or something. So we just targeted that. And that was just where Kennedy got all these points from.
Yeah.
In the drive.
I'll tell you what, Kennedy looked the best I've ever seen him in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, but he'll have an absolute stinker next week. I can guarantee.
Yeah, for sure. Keen to wait for that one. Ronaldo 77, Wilton 77, Nikora 61, Ramian 53.
That's with a try as well. Nikora.
I guess the most notable one here, Adam Blake 46 points, very low on minutes. I think that's very concerning for people that started with him.
It was the game. We didn't need him to do much. We just played side to side and our backs through the middle. It just wasn't a game for Noel Lake.
Yep, for sure. For the Cowboys, Scott Drinkwater top scored once again, 65 points. If only he had
try.
Yeah, well, it's exactly the same last week. He top scored because he's the only one that can really get through the defense. 65 points. I feel sorry for him. Hopefully he gets some help throughout the season. John Bateman, 51 points. I'm pretty sure he was the second top scorer last week. Robson, 42. Kai O'Donnell, 40 points for 330K. Not too bad. Purdue and Duffy.
I think with O'Donnell, I think Nana will be back in there. O'Donnell was just as bad defense. He was gas after 5 minutes. I think Nana will be back in there. I mean, they both couldn't defend. You may as well get someone who's, a bit more, can offer a bit more in attack in Nana.
Yep. Purdue and Duffy are the big ones. Purdue 36, Duffy 22. I guess hopefully our hand is forced with Tom Duffy, so I guess we'll see there. But Purdue, a lot of people are considering selling Purdue to Tamale. 36 points isn't the end of the world, to be honest.
That's with a try and I guess a sim bin. So they netted each other off, and it wasn't a line break try either. So that was a net off. So he's got 36 in kind of what he just normally does. I wouldn't be worried about, say, 6th, 7th center wing. Because he only needs a spike game next week, a line break try and a try assist, and he's gone straight back above Tamale. So it's kind of a bit sideways, I think. As long as he's not getting dropped, I wouldn't be going Purdue sideways to Tamale. I would be looking at like a Campbell Graham or someone like that who's not performing or performing the same as Purdue and downgrading him.
Yep. So they're probably the team to target for captaincies and
Broncos.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Jesse Arthurs, bloody Reece Walsh. Put your house on.
Reece Walsh can't score a 9 against the Cowboys. He must score 9 tries.
The Raiders played the Broncos, and Tom Starling top scored 103 points. He backed it up with a 68 last week. The good thing about him, he's playing 80 minutes. Oh, not 80 minutes. He's playing big minutes. He's playing at least 65 before they consider putting him on. I think they will be in a lot of games. There won't really be many blowouts where they take him off earlier than he usually does play. So I think that's a good thing for him. But he's going to have a massive negative break even next week. 63 points last week, 103 this week. I mean, I think I like him more than Humphreys, to be honest.
I think I do as well, Savs. The more we've been talking about this, I think he's the option. I think he'd be the safest hooker you'd want to play as well, so you can bench whatever other hooker you have. He's so attack orientated. He's having 10 runs a game. He's involved in their attack as well. So, yeah, I do like Starling as a hooker option, and then flicking Sandon down a halfback.
I think that's my play this week. It's going to be Kobe.
I might be joining you.
Kobe to Tamale and Duffy to Starling. I like it.
Not boosting.
I didn't boost last week, and last year I boosted every week in the first 5 weeks.
It went quite well for you last year.
Yeah, it did go quite well, but there's nothing I want to do yet. I don't want to make any moves just yet. So I think I'll know when
just
the
sit
time
in the wings
right.
and wait.
Yeah,
wait for your moment to strike.
I'll know when the time is right. I'll tell you what it is, though. I feel like with the addition of the flex, it's very hard. It's very hard to know when to do it because I've already got 3 gun fullbacks. What else can I do? Like that's my play.
Yeah, what you need to wait for the the cheapies or cows to fatten up, then you can dump them and upgrade 2 more. So it's kind of like you need to wait for that. If you've already got the cheapies, you need to wait for that to happen.
Yeah, and I think if you don't, I haven't started like on fire, so I think I've just got to wait and this is probably a time to save trades, to be honest, so I can go hard. Obviously not next week, but maybe the week after. I guess we see how we go, but I think I need Tino before he gets a price rise as well. So I guess we'll see there. Oh, I'm getting excited talking about trades. Got to pull them. We've got Matty Nicholson. Hosking started in the middle. Hosking is now injured with a hand/wrist injury. Matty Nicholson, 330K. Looks a good option. He looked really good.
He did look good. Got a double. But just the fact that they're kind of using him and it runs a good line, using him in attack. Hosking will be out. Tarpanay will just take Hosking's spot when he comes back. So I think we get another free look at him before his price will go up, Nicholson. So, yeah, kind of the week after, he's going to be primed for the picking, I think. I think if you're not happy with, say, who are they? Seyfarth, Gilbert. If you're not happy with them guys, you can downgrade to a Nicholson and make 100K and then have a guy that looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think he did too. Scored a double, 98 points. Let's look further into like base, 26 tackles.
Didn't quite have enough runs, I thought.
10 points in runs, so 36 in base there. That's not very good.
Only 7 runs he had in the game.
He had no offload.
2 of them were a try.
No offload. He had 10 tackle busts, so it's not too bad. It's not too bad. So 46. I assume tackle bust would have been counted in the try. So I want to see more next week for sure. Timoko 80. Tamale, another try for 60. It looks like he's got a bit of a floor of 30 because he scored that try, which isn't too bad. So I don't mind that, but it looks set for a good price rise. Hosking 64 with the injury. A lot of people will be looking at selling. K Weeks 21. He's got a massive break even. I think I saw a post earlier from someone else, 104 or something. So that pod play has not worked out, in my opinion. And then he goes to the Fortress of Manly next week. So would you be selling if you were an owner?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a luxury one, but yeah, I kind of be selling. He just doesn't look involved for them at all. So yeah, I'd be happy to sell.
Sweet. For the Broncos, Payne Haas top scored with 99. He was on 78 before updates. 99 points. He's gone 106 and 99.
He had 7 offloads in this game, so that's what 26 points just in offloads. Offloading at will. He's the front row one, I think, by a landslide at the moment.
Yeah.
He's only playing 60. Well, week before he played 50 minutes. This week he played a bit more, just because that week didn't blow them out. But mate, it's going to be a matter of when we're getting Payne Haas because he's insane at the moment.
He just looks better than I've ever seen him. His game has developed a lot of offloads. 57 minutes this week, played 49 last week, so obviously a bit more inflated. I mean, that's with even Brendan Picora playing 32 minutes. Xavier Willison, 40. Billy Walters, 26. Corey Jensen, 32. So Corey Jensen's minutes were a bit down, but very, very promising that he's playing towards that 60-minute mark. That's the thing I was worried about last week, but he's only 669K, which for me...
700 probably next week.
Yeah, that's very cheap for him. So I think if you're at a point where you can potentially upgrade to him, I think you got to do it because it's either now or you go into the origin period only having him for 2 or 3 weeks. That's not going to... The damage is already done. So you've either got to go now or wait till after origin.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that it's all right because we're kind of saved with the front row options that we have. Horsburgh got, 80-something, kind of matched him. Terrell May, I think, is going to update above him. So it's kind of you're saying front rows are still covering it. But yeah, Payne Haas, he's way undervalued for if he's banging out 99 without a try or try assist or line break, or just in base and power.
Yeah, 100%. He looks so good, and I'm very keen. Jesse Arthur's 96 points, scored 94 last week. 94 and 96. He's going to have a massive negative break even. He's playing on the left edge with Ben Hunt, which historically Ravalawa and Lomax have killed it in the past with. Now Jesse Arthurs is the next name on that list. He's already scored four tries in 2 weeks. He scored 5 tries in total last year.
Yeah. I think just for the price increase alone, he's one to bring in. I mean, whether the tries dry up, he's still going to be making over 100K in the next couple of weeks. So,
yep,
he's definitely worth the trading for sure.
Cobbo, 57 points. Ben Hunt, 54. Carrigan, Jensen. Hetherington, 39 points. Updated a little
Sell
bit.
Savs.
Yeah, I think I'm happy to sell him. He's not going to make enough cash for me to really harp on about. I think he's someone who can easily go to a Tamale or one of these other guys. Shibasaki, 34, back to earth. He's going to be a sell very quickly, although they do have pretty good draw in the next couple of weeks. So
they're versus the Cowboys.
Yeah, so
and Hero just scored a double. I think he might be all right this week.
He could be a play.
Yeah.
Jack Gazewski, 18 points. A lot of people traded him in this week, 12,800 actually, and Grant was one of them, who is part of the podcast. He did Kobe to Gajewski, and I think disappointing with how it played out, to be honest.
I mean, I think that's fine because you're saving 100K. It's not like you're playing either of them.
No.
But you do need better from Gazewski than an 18. I think he played, 40-something minutes as well, maybe 48 minutes. I think because Piakura came straight on for him on the edge. So the minutes are going to be the worry because his points per minute's never been the greatest. So he's going to need minutes. If he's going to get, subbed off at the 50-minute mark, we're going to expect these sort of scores. So, yeah, I wouldn't be bringing him in now. So those that held off and waited, bravo to you guys because I don't think he's going to be a trade-in. If you start, I started with him, so I'm not really worried. He can hopefully score a try next week and make a bit of money, and then we can move him on.
Well, I started with Geimer, so you're probably a little bit more ahead of me in terms
of... But Reece Walsh, the name at the bottom of the list, somehow playing 80 minutes.
I wasn't going to talk about him. 9 points.
Owners would be hurting.
Yeah, you pay up for 3-gun fullbacks. The rest of your side suffers from it, and he dishes up that and actually drops out of your side. It's disappointing. Yeah, I expect a lot more from him, but Canberra looked really good. So if I knew
this game,
yeah, they definitely outplayed themselves there. And
but I think, like we've said, you wouldn't be selling him, especially against the Cowboys. He's going to most likely bounce back in a big way. So don't be going out there and selling him.
What if the Cowboys bounce back week is next week?
Savs, do you really believe that?
If they played at home,
we probably didn't believe it about the Roosters, but
yeah, that's true.
Cowboys there.
That's
horrible.
That's true. I'm very excited to own Reece Walsh next week, and I guess Yongi really disappointed this week. So not many people can really do Yongi to Walsh in one trade. So I'd be I'm happy to own this week for sure. All right, moving on to the Tigers versus the Eels, and the Tigers won 13+. Wow.
I think it's just going to be whoever versus Parramatta is going to score well.
Yep, for sure. This was a shit game. This was a shit game for like the first 40 minutes at least. The Tigers opened up a bit later in the game. Lomax top score with 65. Penasini. Russell somehow got 59 with a try. Absolute average winger. Jack Williams. I was very happy with. I own him. I've got a bit of a sentimental thing with him because I really liked him at the Sharks, and
that's weird because I didn't, because he just kept dropping the ball and giving away penalties.
Yeah, and guess
I
what
don't know
he
where
did
you get
today?
this sentiment from.
Guess what he did today? He dropped the ball over the line pretty much. So, I was fuming then, but I like his role. I like that the coach likes him, and I really like him as a player if you can put it all together. But how many minutes did he play this week? He played 75 minutes, which I think for someone who plays edge and moves into the middle is really good. But for me, he's probably got to move to like Tino in 2 weeks, to be honest. So if I can do that in one trade, I'll be very happy.
Yeah, he wouldn't be a rush sell. I mean, 430K? I mean, he's plodding along okay. He's getting the minutes, decent role. He's just unfortunately playing for Parramatta where they're not really doing anything in attack. I mean, he's always kind of been meat and potatoes anyway. The one who I would be concerned about is Hopgood. Would you be selling him? I come up against a few Hopgoods, and he's back-to-back 50s playing big minutes in a team that's really going nowhere. Would you look to move him on before he leaks cash to? There's not really any second row that's screaming out though. I guess if you can say move him, to say have a Lucas, would you move Lucas up? Would you get rid of him to, I don't know, Mazu or I was going to say Tupolotti, but you can't because they don't play. But
Yeah.
would you be looking to get off Hopgood, or are you happy to kind of stick him? It would have been a good question for Mikey because Mikey owns him, so I'll kind of was hoping Mikey could give a bit of insight on how he's feeling about Hopgood.
Yeah, I don't know because he's the type of player that probably will come good at some point, but you definitely are paying up for him. I think this time of year you got to get your squad right. You got to make sure you're getting value, and for him, you're not getting value at the moment. No offloads today, which is very concerning. And I feel like the way Parramatta played, Riles might have even told him last week, don't offload. Like, let's put the offload away. Let's complete our sets. Make sure that we're doing as much as we can just to build cohesion between each other. So
didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work. They just kept dropping the ball, giving away penalties. For me, I'd probably sell, but I guess I don't own, so I don't have that. But like for me, Jack Williams just scored 55, which is more than what Hopgood scored, and I'm still considering selling in a couple of weeks just because there are much better options that are hurting you not having.
Agreed.
Sam Riney looked really good on the wing. He's one to keep an eye out for in case he keeps a wing spot when Adokar comes back. Riley Smith, 35. Dylan Brown, 34 points as a premium 5'8 option. I was very disappointed. I think the first 2-3 runs were very good and were very promising for the rest of the game. Obviously, it didn't pan out. What to do with Dylan Brown? I think maybe this is where the question should have been targeted to someone I do own. I'm very reluctant to sell because I bought him because I know what he can do. I guess the same as Hopgood. A lot of people would be reluctant to sell, but at what point do you consider selling these guns where all preseason you've had all this information to gather in and they're the person you end up with? At what point do you get off them, and what do you need to see that makes you think that, okay, this is different this year? I need to jump off this person.
Well, I mean, it's more Dylan Brown's kind of, I think, an easier one than say Hopgood because the attack of a team or like an attacking player really depends on how good the team is attacking, and they cannot attack to save their lives. So I think Brown's I mean, if you were expecting Parramatta to, run near the bottom at the start of the year and you were happy to ride out Dylan Brown, who's like, there'll be ups and downs sort of games. I mean, last week you got, 70 or something? I think you got saved a bit at the end with the try.
Yeah, at the end, yeah.
So it's not like he's had two stinkers. But if you were expecting Parramatta to look better than they have, I'd kind of be happy to jump off him. It's kind of sucks that Munster plays, or actually does it suck that Munster plays Penrith, the way that they just got torn up by Sean and Smith on that side. So Munster would be one I would look at targeting if I was, say, a Dylan Brown over or Matt Burton owner like me, but we'll get to him in the next game. But I think the fact that Parramatta look terrible, their attack just looks garbage, I'd be happy to jump off Dylan Brown. But as a luxury sort of trade, like if I've got other guys to move on to bring in cheaper guys, I kind of wouldn't be avoiding them to just get rid of Dylan Brown.
Yeah, for sure. For me, he's not a priority as well, but I don't know. He kind of did this last year where he just didn't look interested, and it gives you the shits. I guess what's their draw? Like they've got the Tigers, they've got the Bulldogs, and then Manly, and then St. George. So it's not a terrible draw, but it's not a great draw. I don't know.
I don't see the Cowboys anywhere close for them, so I don't know if it's a good draw.
You don't think it is a good draw?
I mean, just the fact that they couldn't do anything against the Tigers. Yeah. I know they had Melbourne last week, but they look garbage.
Yeah.
Maybe one more week. Give him one more week.
Potentially. Yep. All right. Katonga looked pretty good. Hopefully he keeps spot. Yongi, 21 points. Are you a Yongi owner?
I am an Yongi owner, but I mean, I'm happy to kind of stash him there. Hopefully, he has some spike games to make cash. I mean, he's cheap, so he's not hurting me being there. I mean, I'm going to look at him at probably not playing him anymore, just of how bad Para are. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to kind of stash him there. It's going to be a problem later on if he doesn't make a lot of cash. Of how do I get rid of this bloke to upgrade to a gun? But that's a later problem. I think he's gonna make money. Hopefully, gets a spike game next week so he can make it quicker than it's looking at the moment.
Yep, for sure. I think you're in a world of headache for Yongi owners because it's very frustrating because I expected him to average a lot more at this point in the year. So, yeah, and I thought the Parramatta attack would be a lot better, but he has been one of their best players each week. So I think maybe just be patient because maybe the game it does click for them. It'll take time. For the Tigers, Taruva top scored 112 of hat trick on that right edge. Galvin 105. He's probably one that is a big talking point considering Matt Burton has gone down and Dylan Brown isn't quite performing. 624K. Plays the Dolphins, which they haven't really set the world on fire in the
terrible as well. So
2 weeks. Dolphins and then the Warriors. So he's got a good draw and he looks very involved.
Yep, I don't mind the Galvin option. The Tigers, apart from the first 25, 30 minutes of this game, they look pretty good, and he was involved in their attack. It's kind of like Luai's controlling the team, which is allowing Galvin to get all the flashy attacking plays. So yeah, Galvin, he's another option if you wanted to jump on, especially versus the Dolphins, and then the Wars who are hit and miss in defense.
Dream Buller looked really, really good. Very similar to Will Kennedy, where they had really down seasons last year, but he bounced back today. Looked really strong. Terrell May, 90 points. What a weapon in 65 minutes. He was on like 67 at halftime or something. Should have captained him this week. Jesus Christ. What a weapon. Adam Dewey, 67 points, but the main thing here, kept the goal kicking, 440K. He looks like a pretty good purchase for me, but for me in center wing, I'm pretty stacked. It could be a Dylan Brown option, but running the Luke Metcalf, Adam Dewey train is pretty risky, but I don't know. That he looked like he had a lot of opportunities on that left edge there.
Yeah, the goal kicking helps. I mean, he didn't quite get, try, or I think he might have had a try assist in there. I think he kicked inside to Galvin. So he did have some attacking stats. They don't versus Para every week, but he looks to still be involved. So even at 5'8", I mean, you wouldn't want him in 5'8", but if you've, got a burden, but he's an option there if I'm happy with my center wings. Because, I mean, center wings, you're going to have a lot of cheapies to go to. So Dewey could be the fall guy.
For sure.
To give up there.
For sure. I really like him. I think just in the position, it's just hard to fit him in. Skelton, 63 with a try, no line break. Had a couple of good runs. Alex, 12, 53. Seafar, 52. A lot of people sold, including myself. I'm happy with that as an owner. I'm happy as a non-owner. So I don't think he's going to hurt anyone, but it looks like he pretty much punched out what a lot of people expected. Luai, 21, very disappointing. And Royce Hunt, 24 points, misses his break even. So,
yeah. I think with Luai, though, he plays a lot better than his SuperCoach score is going to. I think he's going to have that season where he plays a lot better than what his SuperCoach score does. Like he's just kind of facilitating the team around and the guys around them.
Yeah, I agree. He looked much better than the 21, to be honest. That little kick he did in and then got tackled and then set up one of the tries, the Skelton try. Gowan kicked it. That was nice. The Bulldogs beat the Titans 40-24. I actually thought the Titans were a chance of coming back at one point, which was crazy because the Bulldogs started hot. Marnie, 78 points. Kick out 75, but got injured at the end of the game, as you said. Montoya has scored 2 tries in 2 weeks for 74 points at 400K. Another center wing. Tracy, 63 points. Preston, 58 with a try. Burton, 47. Stephen Crichton now gets the goal kicking, 46 points. It just seems like a lot of these options are we've talked about them a lot throughout the season, and they're not really over-delivering, but anyone that stands out to you here?
Connor Tracy last week was very good. This week he didn't kind of have the base to him, but still ended up with 63. Had a try, and I think he line break earlier in the game. They weren't connected, but Kickout was the one that was looking great the first 2 weeks. Now he's got an MCL injury with Burton. Burton was off to a great start. I'm an owner of him. I was happy. Has this as well, and we both, as soon as he went down, she was like, "Damn it!" Like he was on for a big score, and that kind of just kick in the teeth. But Preston, there was a question earlier about concerning about Preston's score. Take the try out, gets 40 points. He was played about 20, 25 minutes at centre until they figured out that Preston's not a centre, and they put Critter back there, and they were a bit better defensively. But I don't know. I think with Kickout now potentially sidelined, they're going to go to Preston more, and Burton sideline, so they're probably going to favour the right side, which is where Preston will be. So I'm a Preston owner, and although it is concerning, I don't think he's a sell.
No. 58 isn't the end of the world. I think the time in center really, did it. You just said that. The time in center did hurt him. I guess that opens up a spot for Tupanua in the second row with Kickout injured, but 33 points is pretty concerning. How many minutes did he play? Because that's probably the bigger question. But
it was quite weird. When Kickout went off, Tupanua didn't go to the edge.
Didn't he?
No, he still played middle. Well, from what I could make sense of.
What did they put? They put to the edge.
I don't know whether
I was setting up for
it was Curran maybe to the edge.
Yeah, okay.
I wasn't too sure. Maybe
I guess keep an eye on that, because Tupanua only played 37 minutes, so 33 in 37 minutes isn't too bad PPM wise. So hopefully we can get a better read on that. But yeah, the Bulldogs just look like very good side, but no one really stands out SuperCoach wise, except for Burton on some occasions. But if he's injured, it looks like he's going to be injured for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, it's MCL injury, so that's usually
MCL.
about 4 to 6, I think. So he's going to be out for quite some time.
Well, the Titans, 24 points, pretty disappointing. Tino top score with 99 points. And regretting life decisions with not starting with Tino. Should have started with Tino. But anyway, 99 points, looks really good. Looks like a buy. How many minutes did he play? He's very high owned as it is. He played 55 minutes, which is exactly where I would have expected round one. I did think he was going to get less minutes round one, but that's probably what I expect him at potentially early on. So
yeah, like you take the try out, he still finishes on about 70 points. He's probably going to update over 100 as well. He had a couple of offloads. So yeah, if you're getting 70 or 55 minutes for Tino, he's definitely going to be a buy, because I expect him, this is his first game back. So I expect him to improve, get more confidence. He was pretty much dragging the Titans back into this game because they were dead and buried, and he was kind of doing everything for them.
73 points in base and power, which is nuts. So still offloads to update as well. Sorry, let me just count that again. 34, 38. Yeah, 73. So 73 with probably 4 points in offloads to update, which is madness. Keanu Keeney, 60 points. Brian Kelly, 51. Brimson, 36. Very popular option. Looked better than a 36, I would say.
In spurts. I mean, he did bomb a try.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I saw enough from him to warrant bringing him in. If you started with him, you'd be like, okay, maybe the game comes to him in the next couple of weeks. But
yeah,
I don't think I saw enough to bring him in.
Yep, for sure. Jaden Campbell, 33 points. Very concerning. To be fair, the Titans look pretty crap, so maybe their bounce back week is next week. Dave Fafita coming off the bench for 31.
Only played like 30 or so minutes, 35 minutes.
Yeah, he's going to be the massive watch next year. Oh, sorry, this year. This year, at some point, if he gets a start. So hopefully this keeps up for a couple more weeks, and then
drop some cash right for the picking.
We are done.
Yeah,
which is great. We'll answer a couple of questions first. SLM says trade Preston for Tino. Do you think that's a good trade? Oh no, you don't.
Not this week. I think if you need to do that luxury wise, fair enough. But I think you can probably wait for the week after when Tino's going to price rise.
I was on for 1,500 plus if Burton did not die. There's major fishing.
I wasn't quite on for that if Burton did not die, but so 1,400 or so, whatever he's got, pretty decent.
Mustard Custard, Burton tie the Munster, a Galvin needed this week.
Yep, I agree on both of those. I think
which one?
I think Munster. I think that round one. I know he really only played the first half, and then he just didn't do anything in the second half. But the fact that versus Penrith, if Jack Cole's there again, if Tungo's still there, he could shred them this week because their defense was terrible on the weekend. So Munster, even though they are playing Penrith, I think Munster.
Would you trade RTS or Skelton to Arthurs?
Oh, jeez.
I'd say RTS.
Probably RTS because it's an extra 60K.
Yeah.
Because I think RTS and Skelton are the exact same. So you're better off getting 60K than not getting 60K for the same player.
And the Tigers have a pretty good draw in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. And Wars have a bye round 6-5 or something, I think.
5, yep.
Yeah.
Last one, first game for the season, Suncorp for Bronx. Big bounce back for Walsh.
Yes. And Sav's hoping for that.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually considering a Ben Hunt pod play from Dylan Brown.
Whoa.
Yes.
Don't let us sound Savs do it.
No, I couldn't do it for the season. Like, it wouldn't be a season-long play, so probably not a great trade. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. An hour and a half long, solid effort, Jake. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Captain Savs.
Thank you. Mikey will be back in a couple of weeks, so we'll be back to regular programming, but I'll always be here to fill in whenever you guys need a day off.
What a legend. What a trooper. Does well for the team.
Thank you.
The Tino of our team. Does it all.
No, thank you. Thank you, Jake. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Peace.